You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. On his arm she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken, but I swear in the days still left we'll walk in fields of gold. We'll walk in fields of gold.
All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, Ellen. My name is Claudia. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C. From the studios in Fairfax City, we're very humble and grateful that Ellen Williams accepted our invitation to our show. Ellen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to speak with you, Claudio.
I'm here. Let's go back to the beginning. Were you born like in a musical family, and how old were you when you perhaps began taking piano lesson or singing lesson? Let's go back way when you were a little girl.
Yes. Well, I live in Wales in the
Yeah.
UK, and I was born into a musical family. My mother was a harpist, a concert harpist, and she played the harp all over the world. So when I was born, there was music always in the household, and it was my grandmother who insisted that I learn the songs and the folk songs and melodies of Wales, of our country. So I've known those songs as long as I can remember, and yes, music has always been there.
And then what kind of, when you were like equivalent of high school, you were, I don't know, 15, 16, what kind of music were you listening? Like folk music for your country or more rock, classic rock?
Well, I mean, I was singing folk songs, and I was singing classical pieces that were set by, I used to compete in the Eisteddfod, which is a big cultural competition we have in Wales for singing competitions and poetry reading and that sort of thing. But I was listening to, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, when I was 15, 16, it would have been Gwen Stefani, pop singers, Pink, maybe, I can't remember. A bit of rock music as well. I've always listened to film music as well, and film music is something that I like to listen to, but I can also sing. So that's where the mix comes, really.
Oh, I got it. So eventually you turned 19 and you needed to make a decision, go to university, go to school, become a musician, go to musical school. It was a difficult decision. Did you receive a lot of encouragement from your parents or to do that?
Well, I knew I wanted to study singing when it came to leaving school and going to university and moving forward in life, but I wasn't sure if it was the right time for me, because as a light soprano voice, it takes quite a long time for your voice to develop. When you're 18, you don't really have the voice that you'll end up with. So I went to study languages. I studied French, Spanish, German, and some Italian at university. And after I did that and got a degree in languages, I went to study singing at a conservatoire. But by that point, I was, how old are you then? 18 plus 4 years. I'd already had my degree, and I started in postgraduate singing and then opera.
Wow. Have you ever done covers or your own tracks in different languages, or you
Yes, overseas. I sang Zerlina in Mozart's Don Giovanni in Italy,
yeah.
in Abruzzo, and I had to take Italian lessons at the time as well, because obviously we sang the opera in Italian and the recitative and the dialogue, you know. But I also wanted to be able to go around the little town where I was singing and speak to the locals or buy some fresh tomatoes in Italian, you know. So we had Italian lessons as well. So I've worked in different languages.
Good for you. Good for you. So you went to train in opera and classic singing at the Royal Welsh College of Music. Is that correct? Yeah. It's a famous
Yes.
place. I heard. I've never been there, but.
Oh yes, well Cardiff is my hometown really, and I do love the city. So it was lovely for me to study there, and I still go into the city centre quite frequently. It's a lovely part of the world.
Good for you. You are a touring musician, right? So how were you able to manage your career during the pandemic? And I imagine that it was very difficult. You know, so I don't know if you receive any support from your government or your local county.
Yes, well, yeah, it was a difficult time for everybody. Musicians were affected as well as all you know sectors really. It was a time where I made a decision though, and that decision was to kind of move away from opera and the traditional way of working in opera and going from contract to contract and character to character. I decided I wanted to record my own music in the pandemic and started off posting videos on YouTube, which were picked up by a producer and picked up by composer Marco Werba, who I later started working with. And that's how this all started, really. So I've ended up in a more kind of what we call classical crossover genre, because I still sing with my same voice, less operatic in a way because I don't have to project the sound if you're recording or singing with a microphone, but I still sing with the same classical voice, just different songs. So I might sing a pop song, for example, Fields of Gold by Sting, but in a classical style, and that's what we call classical crossover.
I got it. From the operas, which is the hardest one to learn, or at least have taken you more?
The hardest opera I've sang?
Yeah.
It was probably Semele by Handel. I sang the role of Semele when I was in college, actually. And it's in English, so language wasn't an issue, but it's a very tricky piece, vocally demanding, with a lot of coloratura and runs. And yeah, I mean, I say that I sing classical crossover now. I would love to sing some Handel again. I really enjoy it. So I'm open to all sorts of genres really within classical. So
yeah, it's the classical crossover is something that you would like to, I don't know how to ask this, but something that you would like to stay, or you are kind of expanding your boundaries to see what is out there and then make a name for yourself, or
I think so. I'm trying to, as I say, make a name for myself in the music I sing now. So I take a lot of inspiration from film music, and even though the album I'm bringing out next week actually is a collection of hymns and sporting anthems, there are still some filmic elements in the arrangements.
Yeah.
And this music I just love. I think there's something for me so special about how a film score can really touch you. If you're watching a film and there's no music, the situation or the scene might not necessarily make you cry, for example, but then as soon as they add music and they do the same dialogue, the same actors, I'm in floods of tears. So I just love how film scores can do that, and a really luscious orchestration, and that's what I'm enjoying singing to with the music I do now.
Yeah, I interviewed Marco a couple of times, and so when I interviewed Marco, he sent me a couple of clips, a couple of videos, and then he mentioned something. You gotta listen to this young girl, referring to you, and a young girl, young lady, I don't know. And then I listened to your stuff and said, "Man, I need to talk to this woman. She's amazing." That's what I get.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh no, you're very talented, Helen. Yeah,
And
music.
Marco is fantastic. I'm so
He's a very
pleased
nice
to be
person.
working
Yeah,
with. Yes.
I'm going to be, I think I'm doing a series of interviews with him, like once a month or something.
Mm.
We'll take a composer, let's say Pino Donaggio or Goldsmith or John Williams, and then we'll discuss certain films as a music. Music and film score is very important to me as well. I have a lot, and sometimes I put my headphone, I listen to a film score, a vinyl or a CD, and maybe I will never see the movie and try to picture in my head characters and how it will evolve.
Yes.
And then I have seen a lot of great movies with terrible music and good music with terrible films. I don't, just sometimes the two of them, no, not as a critic, right? Some stuff likes me or some stuff don't like it, right? So like country music in the United States is very popular. It's not appealing to me. It doesn't mean that it's not good or not, right? So, or metal rock or that kind of stuff. I don't like the stuff, but film is it's amazing the difference that the good music will help a scene or a movie or so on. And people don't put attention to that kind of stuff until the music is not there. Like we take it for granted, right? And film composers, Marco was telling me that it's done toward the end, the last 3 weeks, and the budget is very, very small, as if a producer, a director look down on a film composer and, hey, we wait until the end. And it's kind of weird world.
But the composer is very important for a film. Yeah.
Of course it is, right? But I don't know why some director, they don't, or Marco explained me that the budget is like 1 or 2% of the whole budget of the movie, and it's hard. Some people in the film industry, they don't make any money at all. They need to do something else for a living, which is very good, very weird. So your new album, Inspire, is coming out next week, right? So feel free to elaborate in how it came together, how long it took to put it together. You have a studio at home, and you need to go somewhere else. Feel free to elaborate on that.
Well, Inspire, my new album, is out next week, yes, on March the 1st, which is St. David's Day, our patron saint of Wales. And I thought I'd release it for St. David's Day because there are a few Welsh pieces on there which are, some of our favourites in Wales, and it felt very appropriate. So those Welsh pieces include Calon Lan, which is kind of our unofficial anthem in Wales. It's a beautiful hymn called A Pure Heart. Finlandia, the melody by Sibelius. A politician, Lewis Valentine, wrote some beautiful Welsh words to that. So that's on there as well, Dros Gymru'n Gwlad. And our national anthem, which I was fortunate in the lead up to this, working on this album, to sing in our main stadium, the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, just last year in front of the crowd, leading everyone singing the anthem. And that really was a dream come true. So I've been working on this album for about a year now, or just over a year, because it's this time last year I released Calon Lan and the anthem for St. David's Day. And since then we've built up the catalogue of sporting anthems, which we hear often in the UK and across the world. So Jerusalem, a beautiful hymn, is used a lot in sporting. You Will Never Walk Alone, which is a Liverpool anthem and another beautiful hymn. We Are the Champions is on there, and a couple of inspirational love songs as well. So it's I felt it was an album that encouraged inspiration and hope and faith and good belief in the world. So that's why the name Inspire, and it's been a long time coming, so I'm excited to see it released.
Good for you, man. I think that's a sort of inspirational album. I think we need to send a copy to Putin so he would have stopped the world. We live in crazy time, and it's whether political views are this or that. We are destroying the planet. We are destroying ourselves. We are a mess.
It's terrible. I have World in Union is one of the songs on the album as well. And when we recorded a video for World in Union, everything happening with the war in Ukraine was very prominent and something we wanted to kind of feature a little bit in the video, which is why I chose to wear 2 different yellow ball gowns, and yellow being the color of sort of friendship when it comes to flowers. There's a clip of kind of throwing out these yellow tulips across the world, and the idea is to try and ignite some peace and friendships with the world. So that was a little thing that we wanted to include in the video, but it is, yeah, it's very prominent and present in every day, isn't it? You can't unhear anything.
It has been now a year, and United States or the European countries have not stopped this, and it really bothers me. I wish I was famous, and I wish I have the opportunity to interview Putin, because I will confront him in many ways, and I will. I'm a nice person when I want to be, and a difficult person when something bothers me, and I will.
Yes. You go and tell him, Claudio.
Huh?
You go and tell him.
Well, somebody put me in a position to do it. I will fly next week, and it's what bothers me is not just him. He is crazy, right? Hitler was crazy, right? But it bothers me that the European, a lot of countries in Europe, United States, and all the allies of the United States confront the guy in a meeting in the same room, and he will be forced to change his mind. Why they cannot be done is, I don't know, easy for me to say from this angle of the world, but
I will never understand. No,
it's crazy. Your videos have been viewed by what, 10 million times, I think. It's amazing, man.
Yes, it is quite the reach. Yes.
You're very popular. You're very famous, Helen.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope people enjoy them, so yeah.
Yeah, it's what do you do before you go on stage? Is something like any rituals or anything you do that provide inspiration? 10 minutes after when you go on stage, the curtain open, you get nervous. It's a particular routine that you always do. And
speaking of rituals, I think my camera seems to be possessed. It's moving around by itself. I can't get in the middle of the screen, so I'm sorry about that.
Okay, don't worry.
I don't know why it's got a mind of its own. Rituals before stage. I think I just try and I'll think through what I'm about to do, make sure I'm focused. Sometimes I'll do a small meditation, just to kind of clear the mind, so there's no buzz and other things going on, and just so I can enjoy the moment.
Do you get nervous?
If I were to feel nervous, I try to tell myself, and this is what I would say to any younger singers coming up and feeling the nerves, I would try and say, everybody out there wants you to do well. Everybody wants to enjoy what you're about to do. And you have to remember that. You can't think people are there to judge you, because singing in front of people is a very, an intimate, and it puts you in a vulnerable position, and it allows people to pass judgment. But in general, you need to think that people want to enjoy the music, and you're there to tell a story and to make people feel something and enjoy it. So if you enjoy it, chances are your audience will enjoy as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a good way to think about things. Feel free to tell me something about your collaboration with Marco Werba and the song, the music, and the lyrics. I know Marco, when I talked to him, I think you're going to be flying to Rome next week in a couple of weeks again to.
I am, yes.
Do another song, or you're going to be receiving an award. Probably you don't know that, or maybe you do.
I have been told something, but not much.
Sorry,
I'm excited.
I'm not going to say what it is, but Marco told me a lot of things.
Rather surprised. No, I'm looking forward very much to going out to Rome the week after next, I think, and we're recording in the studio for a new film. And Marco's written a wonderful score, to which he and the director gave me freedom with the lyrics and the songwriting once again. So when we worked together last summer on Rosa's song, the theme tune for the Island of Forgiveness, I was told, this is the story, this is the plot, and to write some lyrics to a composition which Marco did, which I did, entitled Rosa's Song. And this piece we're recording next week, Masquerade, we've done a similar thing, and yes, I'm looking forward to getting back in the studio with them. It was a good positive atmosphere last time, and nice to work with Marco as the producer and everyone else.
Good. You wrote the lyrics, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's difficult to do. I don't know. If for you as an artist, it's difficult to put something together, or
well, I think I'm not a composer, and I don't write music, but I think because my background is in languages and words and poetry, that's what I enjoy and sort of comes naturally to me. So I love working with film composers and turning their compositions into songs. Words is something that, you know, I enjoy, and I love writing in not only English but Welsh, Italian, Spanish, French. It's a creative output.
Wow, impressive. Looking back in your musical career, what moment are special to you? Any regrets? Anything that you would have done differently? Looking back, it's easy to do it. You know, looking back at the moment, we make the best decisions.
Oh, looking back, I'm not sure. I think when I first went to college to study singing, I was doing many concerts, and I went on tour with a big artist in the UK, Rhydian, who he did very well on a TV show called The X Factor. And when I went on tour with him, I kind of fell in love with classical crossover music, which is what he sings, and the production and the big shows. And then I went away from that for a little bit to do opera, which I enjoyed for a time, but I found myself going back to classical crossover. So maybe I should have just stayed there. But then on the other side of things, I think I learned such a lot doing opera and productions and how to be on stage and to work with other people that I probably wouldn't change how I did things. I don't know. It's hard to look back, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, and every so often, right, you need to, you know, reinvent yourself every 2 years, see
Yes,
what is
maybe.
popular in the market and what is coming up, and try to work in a particular area. I mean, you have your core of things that you like, and some music you don't like, or things you're able to do, or things are difficult to do, but it's good to keep on evolving as in your case as an artist, and right. So
yeah, that's what it is. I think you evolve as a person, which obviously your emotion and experiences will come through your performance as well. But it's not only that, especially when you're a female soprano voice, your voice will take time to mature as well and kind of develop and settle. So yeah, these things take time.
When you say when a soprano you will reach like a peak, it's in age. You say, well, when I was 18 to 22, I haven't reached my peak. Is that a particular age that go ahead, a soprano will reach a peak in terms of the maturity of the voice and so forth?
People have always told me for a light soprano voice, it's late 20s, early 30s to mid 30s, you know, so, and your voice will keep on changing until you're 40, 45, it will keep changing.
Yep.
And I guess if you have your technique will carry the voice through the changes as well. I mean, I've definitely heard that. There's an EP I released when I was, I don't know. I kind of think, was I about 20 or so, I think? And my voice sounds very young compared to now, but I still have it on Spotify. It's called Skylark. And I wrote some of the songs on Skylark. I still love the EP, but I do sound much younger than I sound now on that recording. Yeah.
All right. I like the following tracks. Feel free to elaborate. I have like a 4 or 5. Cinema Paradiso.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to elaborate that piece, how it came together, your interpretation, why you chose that particular one, and so forth.
Cinema Paradiso was one of the first singles I released when I decided to go on this kind of classical film and crossover journey. I released it for Valentine's Day, And it's been one of my favourite pieces for a long time. I mentioned how much I love film music, but I also love the film The Cinema Paradiso. It's just a beautiful story, and the video that we put together with the single was we had a reel running behind me in the video of couples in love, sort of thing, and it was suggested that that would have been the secret reel, which they weren't allowed to play in the cinema, because in the film they cut all of the love scenes from the movies because they weren't allowed to be shown. But I've listened to versions of Cinema Paradiso by so many artists, and it's a beautiful melody by Morricone, and I was thrilled to have my own rendition out there.
Oh, absolutely. Fields of Gold, the famous song by Sting. Feel free to elaborate. Why you picked that one?
Why I picked that one? Again, I think it's one that I found myself listening to by so many different artists, and I wanted to put my own spin on it. I think as an artist, you need to find, of course, a new niche and something that makes you different to other people, and you need to explore what that might be. But at the same time, for me to have songs like Cinema Paradiso and Fields of Gold out there, and all these songs coming up on my new album, Amazing Grace, You'll Never Walk Alone, Abide With Me, these songs that people know and cherish, they're kind of important staples, I think, to have my own renditions out there as an artist as well. And once this is out there and settled, I'd love to work more on some original scores and back to a filmic sound, I think.
Really? Good for you. The Gladiator theme, Now We Are Free, the Hans Zimmer.
Yes. Well, you mentioned, I think you've recently interviewed Lisa Gerrard.
Yeah.
I listened to Now We Are Free so many times before I recorded it, just to try and really get to grips with how she pronounces everything. Because the words to Now We Are Free from Gladiator is a made-up language by Lisa Gerrard. It's very, very clever. Yes, but now I have learned them. I think they will be stuck on my brain forever.
Yeah, that's great. Lisa is an unbelievable. She has an unbelievable voice, and she creates her own language, and she's a nice person. I'm glad that I met her, and I'm going to be very likely doing another interview when she starts touring with Hans Zimmer in April.
Oh, fantastic.
She will be touring between April 20th to June to the 20th. And I'm going to be she's doing 2 nights in London and the O2 for June the 14th, 15th. So I'm going to be flying there, and hopefully I will have the opportunity to meet Hans Zimmer as well. It's another character.
Oh, wow. Fingers crossed for you.
Little by little, things are opening up for me. And I do it because I'm passionate about music, Ellen, and I tell the story to many people. If the radios or the YouTube channel generate any profits, I'm going to be donated every single penny to a local hospital. I don't need the money. I have done well with my life, and I do the interviews and the music and the podcast, and I'm going to be doing something else now as well, because I'm passionate about music. Music has given me so much satisfaction, so I would never, I would never charge any.
You can tell, and it's wonderful to hear you say those things.
Yeah, because I like, although I'm a very introvert, this is sort of my character. Believe it or not, I'm very shy. But I now call people all over the world. So so you have performed in many of the UK prestigious concert hall, the Royal Albert Hall. Wow, it's an unbelievable place. The Cadogan Hall, the Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow. Is anyone in particular that when you were a young girl, you said, maybe one day I will be there? Were you projecting yourself? When you were 14, 15, hopefully if I work hard and stuff and I train with good teacher, maybe I'm going to be one day been at the Royal Albert Hall and so on?
Yes.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
Well, the Royal Albert Hall, of course, and I would love to go back. That was a few years ago now, and the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, as I mentioned before, that really was a big dream come true for me. I used to go and watch the rugby and watch Wales play when I was a little girl. My parents took me, and I'm actually going to the game tomorrow with my partner. So not singing tomorrow, but they have Catherine Jenkins, I believe, singing the anthem, I think. So I'm looking forward to hearing it as well. And the atmosphere in the stadium is always fantastic. So that was a big dream come true for me. And I think just to have my own tour would be a big dream, which I'm working on at the moment.
Good for you. Yeah, I never been in your country. Maybe one day I will visit. I heard that it's very nice, very beautiful. Yeah.
Come and visit, and you have to see the mountains and the beaches.
I'm going to be, and I wish I have more days and more time in my life to do anything. I interview, I don't know if you know Steve Balsamo.
Yes.
Yeah. He lives not that far from where you live. Maybe, when I talked to him, I interviewed him like a month ago, and we agreed to meet up. I don't know if we're gonna meet in London. I would take the train to where he lives. I don't know. He's in Swansea. I don't know. I need to look it up. But it's not that far. Maybe we'll. So many beautiful places in the world, man, that I would need to make time for everything, you know.
There are some beautiful beaches in Swansea as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In many ways, right, I don't have the classical training that you have. I'm more like a classic rock type of guy, but I like classical music, and in many ways, classical music is fading away. You know, year after year, fewer people like that kind of stuff and go to operas and so forth. What can be done for, especially young people, young folks, to enjoy going to an opera in maybe in a different language, right? Or going to listen, you know, Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, and so on. What can you think can be done for, especially for the young kids, 14, 15 at school, to encourage them to listen to good stuff?
Yeah, I think in the UK there are lots of companies who really are trying with outreach programs to go into schools and introduce children to classical music and opera from a young age, and to make it fun and accessible as well. The thing which is a big shame at the moment, especially in the UK, there's huge funds cuts in opera, and that's going to have a big effect, I think, on the reach of opera in the UK and how many people will go to the performances. It's a shame, really, because you have countries like Germany and Italy who really embrace opera, and the UK have such fantastic opera companies as well. I don't understand why the government does these cuts. It should really be embraced more, but at least from the bottom level, there are lots of, as I said, companies with outreach programs introducing the youngsters to classical music, and there are plenty of societies who offer grants and funding for people to go on and study classical music at university as well, and to have lessons. So I don't really know. Hopefully that will all continue. It would be a big shame if there was a decline still. Let's see.
Yeah, government need to put, spend more money in art and museums. I mean, they're fortunate.
I think we need to make classical music as popular as football, don't we?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's and encourage the little kids. When they are 5 or 6 or 10, whatever, put music in the background. I grew up in a family where music was important. My dad in Chile had a lot of music, but I mean a obscene amount of music. He told me that he put, when they brought me from the hospital, he put music, all jazz stuff that he liked, of course. When I was 14, I discovered rock and roll, and I pick another genre altogether. But it's I'm happy that music was important to me. helped me develop my personality, my character, and music is my escape.
Mm.
I put my headphone, I listen to a new CD, a new vinyl, and I go places. I fly with music. I don't know how to put it. I don't know what music does to me, but I couldn't live without it. It's amazing, like coffee. I need coffee.
Yes.
Coffee,
No,
good
I
beer, and good
agree.
music.
I would be a sad person without music, and I feel if I find myself feeling a bit down one morning for no
Yeah.
particular reason, it's probably because I haven't sang in a few days, and singing actually, it's known to release endorphins and make people happy. But even listening to music, I feel I miss it if I don't hear music for a few days. But it's not very often, to be honest. In the car, I have the radio on. You know, in the shower, I put playlists on. So, you know, I always have music on.
Or in the kitchen when you're cooking with your husband or whatever, it's.
I always have. I have a cooking playlist. Yeah.
Good for you. Who has been the most influenced person in your life and career? I think if you can pick one, it's a particular teacher that encouraged you and it make big impact in your life.
Oh, well, there are lots of teachers, there are lots of singers, there are lots of artists, but if I had to pick one person, it really would be my mother, because she's been my biggest support. She's always encouraged me, and because she's a musician herself, she knows the career, and if I've had questions or wanted advice, I've always had somebody to ask, which is very fortunate. So if I had to pick one person, then yeah, she has been an influence on me.
Good for you. You mentioned languages. If down the road one day you wanna release like also, I mean, your own interpretation or cover your own in Spanish, let me know and I can help you learn the words. And a couple of musicians ping me.
Oh, thank you.
Last week to do something like that. So.
Do you know the artist Pablo Alborán?
Yeah, of course I know.
Yes.
I don't know him personally, but I don't know who he is.
No, so on the EP Skylark, which came out a long time ago, I recorded one of his songs called.
All right, you can check it out.
Yeah, so that was my first Spanish song.
Good for you. You like poetry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend you. I don't know if you know Pablo Neruda from Chile. He's
okay.
It will blow you away.
I will have a look.
I will send you the name and the link.
Okay.
He passed away. He was very famous. Obviously, he won the Nobel Prize in literature. But the guy's amazing. That poetry for me, music, painting, it takes me to other places. Although it's always trouble in my head because I'm an engineer, so I think in numbers but half the other side of me, I like music, poetry, painting, and it's a good background, a good mixture in my head to be in the workplace or to do things in life or whatever my personality is. So it's a good combination. Engineers are too rigid. I'm not the typical engineer. And of which performance or recording are you most proud of? The latest one probably, or Inspire?
Right now, yes, Inspire, because I feel like I've spent so long working on this, and I am proud of it, and I can't wait for it to be released.
Good for you. Any particular musician or film composer that you would like to work in the future if things lines up and
well, see, you've already mentioned Hans Zimmer, so if you could put in a good word for me.
Yeah, well, hopefully I can meet the guy.
Yes, that would be incredible. I also really love all of John Williams's scores, and if there were ever an opportunity to sing some words to those, that would be incredible.
That would change your life if you do that.
It would.
Whatever. And two more questions. What do you do for fun? Nothing to do with music.
What do I do for fun? Well, at the moment, these days I feel like I do music and the album, And people who maybe follow me on social media will know that I've been doing a big house renovation as well with my partner. So
Yes.
that's why we are in a room here which is all white and almost all painted. There's been a lot of work. So between singing and the kind of house DIY, I mean, I don't do the big heavy DIY. I try, but I mainly do painting and things. But I love to get outdoors as well. I love to walk my dogs and go on hikes and get outside and go to the beach. I think I love being near water. I'm always drawn to water, and if I can get outside and go for a walk, and I'm looking forward to warmer weather in the summer, so it's can spend more time outside.
Yeah, it's cloudy, it's rainy there nowadays.
It's still cold.
Oh,
We've got some nice sunshine coming through now, but it's very cold. I've recorded some music videos here in Wales where it's been absolutely freezing. So we did the video for Gladiator we recorded in the middle of summer, and it was beautiful, and people said, "Oh, did you record this in Greece?" Because it looked like we were abroad. The sea was so blue and the beaches looked beautiful. And then I've recorded other videos. For example, my video for Oh Holy Night, we recorded at the end of November that year on top of a mountain with the wind and the snow and the rain and the hail. And I've never been so cold in my life, but the video turned out very well. I was happy with it. So we suffer for the arts, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. Good for you. And the last question, feel free to mention your website where listeners can buy your music, your Facebook page, whatever you want to mention. Is feel free to tell me what it is, and feel free to mention your website and where listeners can buy your music and your
Oh,
music.
I think the line cut a little there, sorry. Oh yes, well, thank you, Claudio. It's been lovely to speak with you. And if anyone listening would like to listen to my music, it's available on Spotify, iTunes. My website is ellenwilliams.co.uk. And yes, the new album Inspire is out next week as well. Now I'm not sure when this will air, but it's out in March, and I would love for you to hear it and get in touch if you're listening.
That's right. It was very nice talking to you, Ellen. Good luck next week in Italy with Marco, and hopefully Hans Zimmer down the road, another great director, film composer, and good luck to you. It was very nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. And you. Bye-bye.